Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at this 2023 BMW iX M60. Huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this SUV for me today. Check out their website, that link is down in the description. So this M60 is finished off in white, and we'll go over the MSRP once we get this out on the road and go over all the specs and features for this fully electric SUV. So let's start off with what powers the M60. This has a 111.5 kilowatt lithium ion battery along with dual electric motors paired to a single speed transmission, pumping out 610 horsepower, 811 pound-feet of torque, sent through the xDrive all-wheel drive system, propelling this 5,800 pound SUV from 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds with a top speed of 155 miles an hour. It also has a total range up to 280 miles, and with a fast charger in 10 minutes, you can gain 90 miles. This also has a wheelbase of 118.1 inches. Its overall length is 195. It has a width of 77.4 and a height of 66.8 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this iX, you'll notice that it still retains the BMW design. Usually electric vehicles have a much different look, but clearly you can tell that this is a BMW because of the massive kidney grille right in the middle. Now there's no cutouts in the grille itself. It does have this cool pattern finished in that brush trim, which you'll see later on. There's more of that. The entire surround is finished off in gloss black. There's even a forward-facing camera, and the blue ring around BMW indicates that this is an electric vehicle. Now it has a sleek set of LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals, which match very nicely in the upper section there with the sleek bodywork surrounding it. There's more gloss black in the lower section along with parking sensors, and there's even active grille shutters right in the middle, which will open and close just to help improve with better aerodynamics and then better airflow if needed. There's even some black trim pieces on both sides with functional air inlets, so this will provide better aerodynamics, and there's a neat design running through those trim pieces as well. So it ties in the front end very nicely. And for the M60, this gets a set of 21-inch wheels with the two-tone design multi-spoke pattern. There's the M Sport brakes just behind that, finished off in blue. And of course, this has the regenerative braking, which is of course nice to have. Now the entire lower side skirt is finished off in black, so it matches the trim piece in the corners of the bumper very nicely, flowing down the rest of the side. This has a set of body-colored side mirrors with a slim design for the integrated turn signal. There's also a camera and some brushed gold in the lower section, so that is a nice trim accent to see. This has a full panoramic sunroof. All of the window trim is blacked out. There's even some more of that brushed gold surrounding the door handles, and it's on the lower section of the window. I think it's a really nice combo, especially with this black. And then for the rest of the side profile, not too many aggressive lines. Everything is very sleek and flows nicely all the way to the rear, where you will see the iX right in this brushed aluminum piece with more of that gold underneath it, connecting that back glass to the rear window very nicely. Now this has a body-colored spoiler with the integrated third brake light. The wiper blade is in the lower section to give you better visibility. Very, very sleek design for these LED taillights, so they match the fronts very nicely. The backup camera is incorporated into the BMW badge itself. There's all the parking sensors. This even has more of those black trim pieces on each side to match up front. There's some plastic in the lower diffuser there along with the fog lights, and you can actually tow up to around 5,500 pounds with this fully electric vehicle, so not bad for this model. Now as we work our way to the cargo space, of course you can use the button just above the license plate. I can also hold this button on the key fob and that power liftgate will open up. This also has remote start as well. You won't be able to hear it, of course, being electric, but you can have this on and ready to go from the key fob. So for the back here, this has a lot of space. As you can tell with some items currently in here, there is a cover that you can remove if needed. Tie down hooks as well. So you definitely have a lot of room, even more storage space up underneath the floor, where you can see this is probably a good 1.5 feet deep or so. We have some charging cables in there at the moment, and there's a little bit of storage just underneath the rest of it. You can even store a cover in here if you need to get that out of the way, so it's nice to have that. And you can even fold the back seats down from back here. So just by pulling on that, you will see the left side go down, then I can fold the right side down. And you can tell with that down, you can remove that cover if needed. There is a lot more interior storage for any items that you would like to place in here. Now they are manual to fold back up, so you do have to walk around and do that if needed. And then on the driver's side, you'll also notice there's a strap. On the passenger side, there's a 12 volt and a hook, so you can place any bags there that you may have. And then with the power lift gate, I can simply just push on that button or use the button on the key fob, and that will quickly close. Now, as we work our way to the back seats, you can actually lock and unlock this, which is really convenient to have. And now we can move on to the beautiful red leather interior. You'll notice that this has the Bowers & Wilkins audio sound system. This is the button in order to release the door to exit. If the battery fails for whatever reason, there is a manual release just underneath that. Plenty of storage in the lower section of the door, and more of that brushed gold makes its way to the interior, so that is nice to see. And then we can take a look at the beautiful leather seats. Really nice design running down those inserts. And then at 5'10", it's a low SUV to get into. It's really not all that high. So I can easily work my way into these back seats where I have plenty of room. There's also storage pockets behind both front seats. There are 2 air vents in the middle. These are even heated seats too. So there's those controls along with the climate adjustment. So there's the fan speed, temperature, where you like the air to go. And then you can see there's a lot of space down below, so you can place some additional items there if needed. Now, as far as headroom goes, I have around 3 or 4 inches above my head. These are very comfortable seats. I could definitely ride back here, be very comfortable with 2 other people next to me, and get a look out of the full panoramic sunroof. So it definitely provides a lot of light. You can see it's tinted at the moment right now compared to the rest of the glass. So that'll keep you a little bit better protected from any harsh sun. Now behind these seats, you can see a cutout. There's also some USB-C so you can charge electronics, and an area where you can attach some tablets so you can charge them at the same time, which is nice to see. Now right in the middle, if I pull down on the armrest, of course we have the armrest, and then there are 2 cup holders that pop out of the front of it, and you can't even fold down the middle seat by itself. So if you need to put some items through and you have a passenger on both sides, makes it a little bit more convenient. Now, as far as visibility goes, that pillar is a little bit bulky, but of course you would get used to that, and you can clearly see around this, especially with that camera system, which we will get to here soon. So in order to exit, I'll just push on that button again, and then we have the nice grab handle that's incorporated into that backside there. So it's very nicely hidden. Now for the front door panels, you'll notice that it's just the same as the rear. However, there's the addition of the seat adjustments, along with the memory seating adjustments, even the heated function, all finished off in crystal, which is a very nice touch. There's all of the window adjustments, side mirror adjustments, which of course are power folding, and a lot more storage in the lower section, along with the liftgate release and the manual release in case the battery dies again. Now we have that same trim piece for the release, along with lock and unlock and 1 speaker. And then beautiful design for these seats. Just as low to get into as the rear. So it is a very easy SUV to get into. Now for the steering wheel, you'll notice that it actually has a flat top design as well as a flat bottom design. Only a 2-spoke, so we have this opening in the upper and lower section. But it's finished off in leather, has really nice notches on both sides. But let's fire up this iX. With my foot on the brake, we have that crystal engine start-stop button. And we can bring this to life, where now we can go over the digital gauge cluster. You'll see miles per hour on that left side. On the right side, you can monitor the power that you're using along with what gear you're in. And in the lower section of the screen, you can see vitals like the time, temperature, as well as your range. And then to further go through this information, we can use these controls over on the right side. So there's a settings button that we can use along with this scrolling dial and arrows. There's also volume for the music, along with a shortcut to music and Bluetooth and voice commands. So by pushing on that settings icon, you can scroll through a lot more content where you can look at different values if you need to pull up those. We also have miles per hour with the M badge there. And then if I scroll down again, you can also view your adaptive cruise, so you can monitor all of that information. Even pull up the compass for the navigation. You can pull up the nav itself, so that way you can have the map front and center. And then you have some other content that you can view, like your G-force meter. And then there's also music and radio. Now if I scroll over to layout, we can actually change this again. So now we have a different view here where it's a little bit more in a traditional style with the speedometer on the left side and then the power on the far right. And then if I scroll down one more time, if we go back into layout, this is more of a calm screen. So you'll see miles per hour on that left side with a diagonal strip there, and then pretty much no information over on the right side there. So if we go back to view, we can change that just depending on what you'd like to see. And then you can also go into the head-up display, where currently it is showing miles per hour along with the speed limit sign, and this is the standard view. If I go to directional view, the compass will appear, and then assisted view will show the assisted driving for the adaptive cruise. So just depending on what you'd like to see for your head-up display, that is pretty much it for this gauge cluster. So not a whole lot of information, but it is configurable and nice to see. Now on this left side, there's all the cruise control settings. Now over on this left side of the steering wheel, you will see the headlight adjustments. There's also one air vent. We have more of that red leather covering the entire dash, and then it wraps around the all-new infotainment system. So right in the middle, you'll notice right now on the upper left, I can push on the home icon, where now we have the home screen, just like any other BMW. We have navigation, media, and phone. You can also go into your personal assistants, look at your route. If we go into My BMW, you have some more content that you can go into just by pushing on this button. If we go back into the apps, you actually have a lot of different apps to monitor, like your charging, your climate controls, your seat controls. We have the interior lighting. You can go through a lot of different settings, just depending on how you'd like to get this set up for yourself. If I go back to home now, we can keep scrolling over where we have the route preview, and then you can also add widgets as needed. So depending on what you'd like to use the most. Now on this left side, as you can tell, this is fixed. So it's very easy to get to all these shortcuts. You can go through a lot more apps, kind of the same as what I just showed, but you have a little bit more to go through under this one. And then there's even shortcuts to music and phone, and then navigation. So I can pull that up in full screen and further go through all of that. Now, hopefully you've been able to tell in the lower section of the screen, the climate adjustments never disappear. So you can always see your temperature for your driver and passenger, along with if the heated seat is on or not. Just by pushing on that or climate menu, now everything will appear. So you can see the heated steering wheel along with the heated seats, and then your climate adjustments for your driver. If I swipe over, now we have everything for the passenger on that far right side. And then last up, we can take a look at the massaging seats again. So just by pushing on that button, you have your driver and your passenger as well. You can go through all this info. You can go into the climate adjustments there, which is another shortcut, but it's nice that you can pinpoint what you'd like to see, and you can push on all of these different settings for the massaging seat and control what you'd like to have activated. So it is a nice feature to have, especially if you're putting a lot of seat time behind the wheel of this. You'll notice that there's two air vents just underneath that with more of that brushed gold accent. There's also some defrosters right in the middle. And then underneath that is a massive amount of storage space. So you have no shortage of being able to put in larger items if you have some that you need to put up front. And then also in the lower section, you will see two cup holders along with two USBs, a 12 volt, even a wireless charging pad. This model also has the BMW quick access card, so you can use this in place of the key fob if needed. And then for the floating stack just above that, you will notice a little bit of storage. It actually goes right through, and we do have some knobs on the bottom there, so you can place your phone there and have it set up and ready to go. Now for the center infotainment system, you can actually use this crystal dial to further go through that info. There's some shortcuts just above that. So if I click on navigation, you will see that appear. I can quickly get into the media and then go into home. Now this entire trim piece is finished off in wood, which is a very nice accent to see. There's also a volume for the radio, which is finished off in crystal. And then by using this rotary dial, we can further go through all this info. You can see on that left side there, just by using that and then using the dial, you can further go through this info. So you can use it as a touchscreen system, or you can use that dial down below. Now behind that, you will see a parking button. Just by pushing on this, that will pull up the 360 camera system. You'll notice too on the right side, we have the top-down view. You can quickly get into that. There's also the assisted view, which just shows you your backup camera along with the sensors. And then for the panorama view, you can see the entire rear camera in full screen. And then if I go into more, now we have the car wash setting that you can look at. We can also go back to the 3D view, where you can use the gesture control to go around this, or just push on these pinpoints and you can see around the entire vehicle. So that is not new technology from BMW, but it is nice to see in a large vehicle like this. Now just behind that, you will also notice too that we have tuning for the radio. We have the air ride suspension, so you can raise and lower this as needed. If I push on this upper button, you will also see shortcuts to driver assistance along with drivetrain and chassis, so you can go through all of that as needed. And then the last button right in the middle is My Modes. So if I push on My Modes, we have personal, sport, efficient, expressive, relax, and digital art. So you can actually change how you'd like the gauge cluster to look depending on your mood, and then you can easily go into a different one. You will see the gauge cluster change as well. So that is pretty cool to see. And then on the left side, we have the engine start stop, of course, and then the shifter. So with my foot on the brake, I can push that crystal shifter forwards, where you'll see that backup camera up here as I already showed. Drive is all the way into the back. There's also B, and what B will do is activate the regenerative braking, so that way you can use it a little bit more efficiently. And then there is no park. So in order to put this into park, simply just push on the electronic parking brake. Now behind that is the auto hold. And then for the split style for the armrest, just by pushing on that center button, this will open up where you have a lot of storage for a good amount of items and a small shelf. And then to open up the glove box, there's a hidden button just to the left of it, and it will automatically open up. And we'll take one last look at this interior, and then we'll take another look at the full panoramic sunroof. It goes all the way to behind the back seat headrest, so it definitely provides a lot of light. And then up in the center, you'll notice a call button along with all of the dome light controls as well. As we set off now behind the wheel for the iX M60, this has a starting MSRP of right around $108,000. Now that's a lot of money. This is a six-figure SUV. Being fully electric though might add to the price just a little bit, since fully electric vehicles are still fairly new. You know, it's been a few years. BMW has had some other electric models that they've introduced, like the i4, which came out before this. So it's not new technology, but it's still fairly new for manufacturers to have electric vehicles. And they're starting to incorporate a lot more of their models into the lineup, like the iX that we are in right now. So six-figure SUV, still has a lot to offer, very capable for its size, along with practicality as well. And we even get different driving modes to further enhance your driving experience without having an exhaust note. So this is sport mode. It's quick. It's definitely quick. If we go to expressive, which if I remember correctly, this is a lot more funky, so get ready for it. And you just have some different modes like that you can go through. There's a digital one too. Kind of sounds like you're in a spaceship. So it gives it a good and sporty feeling drive because there's no exhaust note. You have your musical notes that you can change and go through. So it's kind of a gimmick, but it is very cool. I personally would not buy an electric vehicle, but I think that makes it a little bit more fun to drive if you're still a car enthusiast. And if you are a car enthusiast, you're getting the M60, it's because you want the performance that you can get from this electric vehicle. 610 horsepower, 811 pound-feet of torque when you activate launch control. I believe without launch control, what I'm experiencing right now is about 630. No, regardless, that is still a lot of instant torque. The moment you put your foot on that accelerator, boy, electric vehicles, you can't beat them going like 0 to 60, 0 to 100. After that, gasoline vehicles, of course, will start to accelerate and take off because the electric batteries can only do so much. So if you're having some fun around the city, you know, going from point A to point B, from stoplight to stoplight, no doubt that this is a quick vehicle. And for its weight, it's impressive to see that type of performance with this vehicle. Now, as far as just driving this in general, it's like any other BMW that you would expect. It's very comfortable and quiet to drive. We have a lot of the standard safety features that you would see in other BMWs, and just a nice interior, especially with all of the materials. It's like any other BMW, really. So the quality that you're paying for is a BMW, of course. And as far as handling goes, it's a massive vehicle. It can take these turns pretty well. I'm always impressed with BMW models that I get into, whether it's this or it's a sedan or it's a coupe, maybe it's not even an M car. They all seem to handle very, very well. And that's no exception for the M60 here, which also, I forgot to mention, has rear wheel steering. So that is going to help it be a lot more maneuverable in parking lot situations. And then when you're taking roads like this, the rear tires should turn in the same direction as the front. So that way it just makes it a little bit more maneuverable at higher speeds, just like it is at lower speeds. And now switching back to sport mode, we can give it another acceleration. Woo! I think that is a pretty cool gimmick that sounds really neat though. Just to go through all of these, we have personal, which I believe is a custom setting. And then, I'm not going to do all of these, but relax kind of just gives you that opera style feel where you're just almost like elevator music in a sense. That's just gonna be kind of calming and soothing. So it's pretty interesting. I haven't seen that in any other manufacturer. I have been in the 7 Series from BMW, which offers the same driving modes and the same noises. And I think that is pretty cool, especially with this being an electric vehicle. It just adds a little bit more excitement to your drive. And again, with the rear wheel steering, this is a good size SUV, but we were able to do that without going off the pavement. And it is just so quick. Man, I'm not doing launch control in today's video, but I'm sure that will put your stomach into the back of the seat for sure. So you are getting a lot for that 6-figure price, right around $110,000. Of course, with options, it will climb from there. But I really do enjoy driving this. It's so comfortable, smooth. There's no road noise, wind noise, no engine noise, obviously. So if you're just looking for something that's going to be incredibly comfortable, I have the massaging seats on at the moment. It is going to give you that comfortable BMW vibe where you can just rack up the miles. Now, as far as charging this, like I said in the beginning of the video, up to around 280 miles doesn't seem to be all that much. There are some other manufacturers that I've seen get in the 300s, so maybe BMW can work on that for the next model year. I'm not sure how all of that works, but it is a heavy vehicle. It has a lot of power, of course, so if you're driving it and you're doing runs like this all the time, that will cut it significantly. But you can charge it very quickly with a fast 2 charger, which is of course nice to have. But I think that is going to wrap it up for this walk around review and test drive in the 2023 BMW iX M60. Once again, huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this SUV for me today. Check out their website, give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.